Yesterday, you all celebrated the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, a document in which the word God appears once and precisely once, and the word Christian does not appear at all. This, of course, led to the ratification of another document, the Constitution of the USA, in which God nor Christianity is mentioned at all. But it does enshrine the separation of religion and government in the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment. So what are you playing at, America? We've got walk-in baptisms at the official 250th birthday party on the National Mall. We've got Texas school children now demanded to read Bible passages as part of their curriculum. We've got entire official government events about rededicating the country to specifically the Christian God. I don't think Washington crossed the Delaware for this kind of nonsense. But if you think that, much like peanut butter and jelly, church and state go great together and are quintessentially American, then you should call us, because the show starts now. Oh, I think you might be the main actual host.
You know what's awesome? You know what's really cool is when you start doing an intro and your mic is totally muted. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that really cool? It's a really cool thing that happens. Folks, it is July 5th, 2026, and we want to welcome you to Talk Heathen. I'm your host, Objectively Dan, the non-muted main host today. And joining me, giving the awesome intro there, is Jamie the Blind Limey. Jamie, thank you for joining me on this auspicious July 5th. Everyone's always concerned about July 4th. They never tell you about July 5th. You know, a lot of things probably happened that day. They're probably hungover after they finished signing the Declaration and whatnot. I saw a poll, Jamie. It was like 40% of Americans don't know why we celebrate July 4th. Like they couldn't tell. It was like, I don't know, the actual number was like 38% or something. But it was like, yeah, they couldn't articulate what actually happened, and another percent didn't know there was like the 250th coming up and didn't know like what that meant. So it's really cool. We live in a really cool country. I'm glad you're here. I don't know why you're here, but you're here anyway. So, you know,
circumstances. And yes, I do. It is partially because of the circles that are running. It is partially that at some point I'm going to have to do a quiz on this stuff to be allowed to stay longer, or get a vote and all that citizenship bollocks. But I know stuff about the US and the Constitution and the way that the government's set up, probably a bit more than the average American. Not to say that people have to be politically switched on, but it's like you can ignore politics, but it will not ignore you.
Yeah, that's true.
And of course, we have to be careful around these topics.
Well, we have to be careful about these topics, but we can talk about our civics and our civic duty. We used to have better civics education, as far as I'm aware, in this country. That a lot of that stuff kind of got cut. I mean, like the same thing with like how like they cut a lot of computer classes in school because they're like, oh, you kids have smartphones and stuff, and they grew up and they're around tech. And now like Gen Z is like worse on average with computers than like millennials are, because like they just didn't have the same kind of schooling on that, which is kind of funny. I think the same thing is like with civics, right? I guess people thought, oh, well, you grow up and I don't know, you're on the internet and you figure that stuff out. But no, actually people are kind of bad about it. Imagine that where you're not as good because you didn't learn about it in school. What a concept. Really radical stuff. But I don't know.
And it was a really important thing in British history as well. It was the Declaration of Independence, what happened before it.
Yeah, I imagine it was kind of important. It was like, oh shit, we lost some shit.
Some shit. The whole
they say they lost some shit. Then they fought and stuff, right?
Yeah,
that was kind of a big deal.
We didn't quite get as far. I'm a bit disappointed that we didn't like get the fun sequel where the British burned the White House. It's like we didn't get told about the War of 1812.
Tell me this, Jamie, before we get into it. First of all, before we get into it, I should mention that Talk Heathen is a live call-in show, and we have open lines. So please get your call-ins now at 512-991-9242 or from your computer at aca.show/call. This is not a necessarily political show. We're happy to be talking about July 4th, but we talk about all kinds of stuff on this program. And I want to talk to you guys about it. We are streaming today as well, so a big shout out to our viewers on TikTok and YouTube mobile. If you are watching us on TikTok this afternoon and you'd like to talk to us, there's a way you can do that. You can request to join in, and we'll bring you on stage. And please make sure, if you do that, that you are over the age of 18 before doing so. But if this is your first time watching and you're wondering, hey, what are we supposed to be talking about? We are open to all kinds of questions about religion, secular humanism, atheistic morality, cosmology, philosophy, science, history, life, the universe, and everything, man. So, come on down and we'll talk to you about it. Jamie, when they talk about the Declaration of Independence back in the Queen's land, what do they just kind of like sweep that under the rug? Well, is it kind of like, and then the Americans, they kind of did a thing.
No, and then it's actually framed as like this was a good thing. Like,
okay,
it's a real tub thumper that would go, oh, bloody
tub thumping, huh?
Yeah.
So Chumbawamba gets involved.
Yeah. But they're the one that the context is. It was a fight for freedom from a tyrannical government, and the thing is that. The reason why it's taught like that is that fighting against the tyrannical, crown authority is like something. It was almost like a hobby for the UK because we had a couple of civil wars. We had the Wars of the Roses. We had the Roundheads and the Cavaliers. We had the tyranny of King Henry VIII. We, of course, the Norman conquest, which was to kick the whole thing off. So, like, King bad. Is a theme that runs through our history, and of course, it's also treated in the context as the one of the small sparks that started that not only accelerated, but also was the first domino to end chattel slavery, which is one of the greatest shames of the UK and the US have combined. Again, to bring us back to the main thrusts of our show, a lot of this stuff is also intertwined with religion. Catholics and Protestants fighting, using religion as an excuse to steal people and sell them. And yes, the whole, we're a bunch of dudes who saw what was going on in Europe and how the church was getting a bit too big for its britches, and we all hung out in France for a bit and drank a bunch of coffee and probably did a bunch of opium. And in Ben Franklin's case, he shagged a bunch of old ladies and loved it. And went, this whole Enlightenment thing seems pretty cool. We should build a country on that.
So they do they talk? So you mentioned Ben Franklin. Like, do they actually talk about like a lot of the American sort of founding fathers?
Yeah, we talk about Ben Franklin. We talk about George Washington. We talk about the signing of the Declaration of Independence and the Boston Tea Party and the circumstances around that. It's usually like the last thing at the end of the whole. It's usually sort of in the middle of the slave trade and that whole kind of era.
Yeah. That's just American hegemony is so awesome because every other school has to learn about us, and we don't even have to give a shit about our own history. Like that's pretty great. I love that about our country. I mean, I'll tell you, my every experience is different because you got 50 different public education systems, right? I was in the Texas public school system, but I think I learned about King Henry VIII. I learned about the Magna Carta. And maybe that's it. I don't know if we talked about England too much, man. I mean, besides obviously the American Revolutionary War, right? Like that was, but that's a part of American history. So it's like, of course you're gonna talk about that. So I don't know.
Our education in America is basically we don't talk about the colonies.
Yeah.
Pre-revolution, there were some colonies. We had colonies. And that's the end of that bit.
Okay.
Revolutionary War. Slave trade, World War I, World War II, Cuban Missile Crisis, and that's where we.
They make you talk about the Cuban Missile Crisis?
Oh yeah, the Cold War, because of course we You guys would have had 8 minutes to respond. We'd have been blown up in moments because we're a lot closer to Russia. So this is the only time that America had the whole like gun to your head thing. And so we were taught a lot about JFK and Khrushchev and that whole malarkey.
Do they make you go through like, okay, here's all the kings and queens, and you got to memorize them for a test or something?
No,
you got to do that. Oh man,
no, you don't have to memorize them all, but you do. It's more about like who are the important players in these very pivotal moments. So it's not like every single king from William the Conqueror up to Charles III, current day. It's more like we're really going to focus in on Henry VII and the VIII and Elizabeth because that was really important. We're going to really focus in on Charles I, and because that's him and Oliver Cromwell having a bit of argy-bargy over the old Civil War. And then we're going to go real deep into Queen Victoria because Victorian times were very important in the Industrial Revolution, etc. But like I couldn't tell you, and some stuff like Edward V abdicated because he went off with an American, and George III was mad, and he was one of the reasons why the revolution happened. But in the whole like this is the life and times of, we went well deep into the Tudors, we went well deep into the Stuarts, and we went well deep into old Vicky.
Okay. Do they talk about Guy Fawkes?
Oh yeah.
And then they make you watch V for Vendetta, and then like you get that happen, and then all the teachers wear anonymous masks, and
that would have been fun.
Scientology.
That would have been fun. Only the problem is that film was like 15 years after.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
What we did watch was we watched the end of the film called Gallipoli, which is an early Mel Gibson joint, and basically it's like set in World War I, and it's really tragic. But there's that. But yeah, and then when we talk about the fact that all of these kings and queens that are throughout our history are also the heads of our church and ordained by God, apparently, that is taught as a kind of like that's what they believed. We're never told to believe that ourselves. It was never. We're told that the Queen, or it was the Queen at the time for us, the Queen was the head of state, also the head of the Church of England. Here's the history of the Church of England. It was basically Henry VIII saying, I'm the Pope now. And that's how that goes. So religion, as ingrained in our history as it is, isn't really pushed.
Okay, I want to ask you about that more, but real quickly, I need to remind everybody that this is a call-in show, and that means we want callers to call in. As much as I love talking to Jamie the Blind Limey, I don't want to talk to Jamie the Blind Limey the entire time. I will if we have to, but I want to talk to you guys. So please call in, and I'd love to do that. Just a reminder that Talk Heathen is a product of the Atheist Community of Austin, a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to the promotion of atheism, critical thinking, secular humanism, and the separation of religion and government. And if that pisses you off, you should call in and tell us about it, because I'd love to hear why that pisses you off. Or if you agree with it and you think it's cool too. I mean, hey, know, the more the merrier. But again, before we move on, I also want to thank the amazing, fantastic, stupendous, attractive crew members that help make this show happen. And let me show you how attractive they are. Look at these beautiful boys that are out here making the world turn. Okay, this show doesn't happen without them screaming into our ears and telling us that we're doing everything wrong. So we appreciate them for that and their role in it. Thank you to the video, audio people, moderators, notes, and stampers, and all the call screeners. So if you want to be one of these people, or potentially being a guest on one of our shows, or maybe even be a host, we're always looking for people that are interested. So email volunteer@atheist-community to get involved with that. Let me ask you about this, because we've kind of talked about this before. This idea of like separation of church and state is a thing in America. It's always been a thing in America. Kind of a concept that was kind of developed upon, right? A little bit, right? A lot of important people at the time kind of came to that later, differently from the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, how it originally defines it, right? Sort of early case law that kind of like makes that into account. But you look at England today, and you look at the United States, and I would argue that England is almost more of an example of a separation of church and state. You might find that crazy because there is like a government church and all that. But I don't think if you go to an average public school in England, like you're going to get, oh, hey, by the way, evolution's not real and the earth is like 6,000 years old. Like that's going to happen less on average, right? Like, am I crazy?
Not only are you not crazy, but we are very secular as a society. Okay,
so what the hell was the damn point? Why do we make this whole thing about separation church and state if the Limeys over here are already doing it and you know somehow also have it more entwined in some ways? It doesn't make any sense to me, Jamie.
Well, here's
the date on this for me.
Actually, it's the same reason. The reason, and I'm not an economist. I'm not a historian. I'm just a bloke. But my observation is that the reason why Christianity, and specifically the types of Christianity that cause the trouble, like the evangelicals and the like, are causing so much issue with this now, because it wasn't as much of an issue before the 50s. We didn't have under God in the pledge or any of that. You know, it became a tool of the Nixon and McCarthy era anti-communist thing, and then after that Reagan going into the moral majority. But it's the same reason why healthcare's fucked in this country, and it's money.
Okay.
Because in England we have a state church. That means it's a government church, which means it's a non-profit, basically.
Yeah.
It's a governmental non-profit, which means that they're not always...
But your taxes still go to it, though, right? That's how it works there, right?
Somewhat, but it's not really that much these days. They do also have... It's like a public-private partnership. It is a separate organization, but it's a non-profit. So, one, they're not doing it for profit. Two, it's a standardized job. Like you can't. There's no mega churches in the UK. You know, the closest you'll get is like a village fete where they're like doing a raffle or something.
But let me ask you this: why though? Why is there no mega churches in the UK? Because you could. There's no rule against setting up your own church. It's not like the Church of England is the only church that exists, right? So why do you think there's a difference there?
Well, firstly, the problems that we've had throughout our history, all the way up to very quite modern times, of sectarianism in the UK, where the Catholics and the Protestants butted heads significantly, and that was all entwined in politics. But it's also the fact that we're a pluralist society that has quite significant influence from like Muslim, Sikh, and Buddhist, to a lesser extent Buddhist things. So you can set your own religion up, you can try, but with all of these more established and significantly cheaper alternatives, like Scientology tried their hand in the UK, and the UK just went, no, this is a scam. You can't do this here.
Okay. Is Scientology? But it's not banned? Is it banned?
I don't know whether it's outright banned. It might be. I'd have to check. I know that I've had my cans in my hands. I've done an e-meter session in a rented conference room, and then they tried to sell me a copy of it.
That's something that the American mind can't comprehend, Jamie. This idea that a government can be like, actually, no, you can't have that religion here. Like there's several countries worldwide, but also particularly in Europe, that do outlaw specific organizations from like being a thing, right?
And it's not like you can't believe in this. Like they're not banning Scientology as a faith. Yeah. They're banning the practices around it because it's like, well, this is just blatant money making. Like you can't do that.
Which again, an anathema to the American mind, because we love making money in this country. And I think that's why, I guess that's the reason why. It's just, there's more opportunity to make money in a mega church in the U.S. Is that a scholarly conclusion here, Jamie? That
Yeah, and it's also just the vast number of people here in the US. But anyway, enough of me flapping my gums. I think someone who wants to talk to us.
Yeah, let's get to our callers here and talk to folks who want to talk to us. We got Ann calling in from California who wants to talk to us about some July 4th stuff. Ann, welcome to Talk Heathen. What's up?
Hi, how are you guys today?
I'm doing, you know what? As far as July 5ths go, I've had worse ones, I think, probably, maybe, you know? How about you, Ann?
Well, I mean, honestly, right now, July 5th today is like the 12th anniversary of my dad's funeral. So.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. You know, it's just a personal thing with me. That's, you know,
sure.
But, the reason for my call today is because I wanted to talk about what this year's 4th of July meant to me. And I actually hate this holiday because I hate fireworks. I can't stand loud noises, but
sure.
But this 4th of July did have a certain meaning to me.
Okay. Yeah, tell me about that.
Well, you know, I see people online or you know, talking, oh, I don't feel like celebrating. This is, you know, the worst 4th of July. You know, I mean, our Capitol literally looks like a trash pile right now. I'm not going to get too into politics, but
sure.
I don't want to do that. But I mean, I understand people not wanting to celebrate. But to me, this 4th of July actually served as a reminder that sometimes you still have to fight against an oppressive ruling class. And even though on paper, yes, we're a democratic republic, but look at all of the money that goes into things. I mean, the rich have most of the money and, you know, we're kind of at their mercy. And
yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down here, and I'm in the same boat as you. My wife and I didn't do anything for 4th of July. We haven't since we've been together. Honestly, we'll look at the fireworks maybe on our back porch for 5 minutes and then go inside.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, you know, a lot of us aren't feeling patriotic right now. We're not happy with the way things are. And you're right. There is a class divide that is larger now than any point in American history, perhaps. And so you have to wonder, you know, what is there to be happy about, right? What is there to be happy about? What is there to be patriotic about? A lot of us aren't feeling that way. And I don't know. I agree with you. I don't have much more commentary to add than yes, it sucks, right? It sucks. Jamie, what are you thinking?
Okay. Well, again, I'm going to draw a parallel to some of the conversations we have around religious holidays. In every Christmas time, we tend to have calls about like, I'm not Christian or I'm atheist, and what do I do about the holiday season? So if you're not feeling particularly patriotic about the 4th of July, I love a good party. And one of the things that keeps me in this country and makes me want to stay and be part of the system is that while I may not like America, I love Americans. The people. This 4th of July, I worked. I worked because I wanted to serve, basically, the people who needed help. Because I work for a charity, you know, and people were calling in overnight to get help on the holiday, and that was a little bit of a celebration for me because it's like, hey, I'm helping people have a slightly better holiday. And every 4th of July celebration I've had since I've been here has either been a very low-key thing with friends, or if we ever did go somewhere, it was just I'm more concentrating on sharing the exuberance of being with these people who are the embodiment of the culture of this country that is being celebrated today. I don't care that it's technically an entire holiday about saying, yeah, British, lame, you lost, you know, kind of thing, which is often how it's construed. but I am happy to celebrate the culture, the melting pot that forms America because it's formed of its people. And I've found that a lot of its people, like the people in the ACA and the friends that I've made, are pretty dang groovy.
Yeah, that's awesome, JD, because I fucking hate Americans for the most part, I think, at this point. I am much more jaded than you are. The thing is, I grew up in this country, right? How could you not love it for what it is, right? And there's a million places I would not go to rather than growing up here, right? Even now, that's still true, right? But I've seen the decline. Right, I've seen the decline. I was born here, right? I was raised here, and seeing that from my perspective, there's anger, there's disappointment, right? Like American patriotism is its own religion, right? More so than other, like every nation has their own patriotism, right? And you can draw religious analogies for sure. But find me another country that's more proud of their troops, for example, than fucking America. Okay, I don't know if that's a thing, right? Well, absolutely, right. Name a country that goes as balls to the walls with their fireworks, that when we do for our stuff, right? Like there is a culture there separate from your religious identity that made you a part of something greater than yourself, right? As an American, that at least I felt that I don't feel anymore. I don't feel like I can share that with all the people in my country and at least say, well, times may be tough, but we're all American and we're gonna get through this. I'm not even feeling that right now. I'm feeling jaded as hell, Jamie. I don't know. That's where I'm feeling. And yeah, I agree with you though. Like, obviously, there's great people that are here, right? And I'm happy that I get to know and work and love the people that are here. But damn, it ain't everybody. I'll tell you that. It ain't everybody, and I'm not even sure it's most people I know at this point. I don't know, but that's my cynicism getting in there. What do you think, Ann?
I have a little bit of that cynicism, and the only reason why I don't like 4th of July is because of the fireworks, the loud bangs.
Yeah.
I'm sensitive to loud noises.
Yeah.
But honestly, this year this is what my idea of being patriotic is anyway. But it's just a reminder, we still have rights that we need to be fought for, because anytime people fight for rights, there's always people that are against those rights and will fight against those rights. And once those rights have been won, there's still going to be people who were against those rights in the first place who are going to try and fight to take them away from you.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
We just had to secure birthright citizenship, right? Like, and people are like, no, that's a mistake. Even though that's been a thing for a long time, right? So it's like people fought to win those rights over, and we're not even sure we get to keep them, right? So there's another element to that makes it hard. Yeah, for sure. It's tough. It's tough right now being American. Absolutely.
I would say also that that one of the weird things, and I've said this in several of the shows before, one of the weird things that when I first sort of started getting into this whole internet activism, atheist activism, anti-apologetics circle, I was pointing my guns at basically all religion. I was very, very stalwart about that. But in recent times, I've weirdly found myself going to bat for the faithful in some ways, because yes, I still think that they are irrational and that their beliefs are irrational and their epistemology is flawed. But if they're fighting for those rights, if they're up there going, no, trans rights are human rights, voting should be for everyone, all these different things that have been under massive assault, often by people doing it under a religious flag, or scapegoating certain religions. Like, I don't like Islam either. I think Islam is damaging, and I think their teachings are bad, and I could point them. But I love Muslims. I've got plenty of friends who are Muslim. I grew up in a country that has a lot of Muslims in it, and while some of their extremists have done bad things, Christian extremists have done bad things, and so I was sitting in the Capitol with a Jewish person on one side, with another atheist on the other, our very own Sophia Spina, and a Muslim, and we're all trying to stop the mandate of Bible passages in Texas schools, joined arm in arm. And while I will happily sit around and over a beer, or in the Muslims' case, a non-alcoholic beverage, and discuss epistemology and challenge them on their faith and the nasty stuff in their holy books, I'll do that on the smouldering ashes of fascism. Thank you very much. So that's another thing. I'm actually finding myself finding more kinship with the faithful, as long as they align with my humanism at this moment as well.
Yeah, I will say too, and as a kid, I love fireworks, but now I'm also like not super big on fireworks. They just seem a little disruptive now. Maybe it's because I'm getting older or whatever. But now I'm like, oh man, if I had a dog right now, that dog would be freaking out. I don't like that, But I'm just kind of over it. I hear you though, man. I hear you. It's tough times. I wish I could give you more comfort and say, nah, America's awesome, and we're so. I mean, America is awesome, right? There's a reason why people are still coming to this country. Okay, it still offers opportunity to people, but when you love something, you have standards for something, right? And standards are not the same. Standards have been on the decline. And I want to fix it. I don't want to throw it all away and say, oh, I'm just going to move and just go somewhere else. And, even if that was like a viable option, because it isn't for probably myself or most people, I would love to try to make things better, but it's going to take a lot of elbow grease and a lot of work and a lot of people going on the same direction, which is hard to do right now. So I don't know. A lot of talk there. And anything else that you want to mention before we kind of move on today? Because I don't know if you were what you were hoping to get from us, but it's not the most positive message out there, I guess.
Well, I mean, I don't know that I was looking to get anything. I mean, I don't think America is awesome either. I think, but if you love a country, or or even if you love yourself, to me, love means being real. Having an honest assessment of what's going on. If you love yourself, you need to be real with yourself. If you love your country, you need to be real with your country. I don't know if that makes sense, but admit, we have all of these problems to fix, and hopefully 100%. We can make it, the way things are going, it's crashing pretty hard, and we might have to end up with socialism, which wouldn't bother me, but just the way things are going with our economic system and everything. And I think people and younger people are kind of more aware of it.
Yeah, I say that's true.
Well, you're talking to a European-born tax and spend left-wing socialist that grew up with universal health care. Yeah. And when I was born, all public services like telephone and power were done by the government as well. So I come from a culture where socialism isn't quite as dirty a word as it is here. But what I would say is that, yes, it can be very easy, and it should be very easy to criticize the country and the way it's being run. But I would also want to emphasize, because I want to try and find a silver lining in this mushroom cloud. Yeah. That one of the reasons I love that I want to stay here and I like Americans is for some of their, what I would say, their Americanness. Because in the UK, you tend to keep yourself to yourself, and that works in some ways. The collectivism is an advantage in some ways because you consider other people. But you also tend to kind of isolate yourself and become a little bit insular. Whereas in the US, I've had to learn to be friendly, talk, understand that you have to communicate with other people and be clear with other people, and that individual effort is also important. That pioneer spirit, that like you can't always depend on other people for help. You may sometimes have to help yourself.
So what you're saying is you like that we're loud and annoying and really proud of ourselves for no good reason.
Forthright and
Okay.
and perhaps a little over enthusiastic sometimes, but I don't think that Americans should be ashamed of what really quintessentially makes them American, which isn't capitalism and it isn't Christianity. It's being bold.
Being loud and annoying. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. I get it. I'm picking up what you're putting down here, Jamie. Well, Ann, thank you so much for calling. Really appreciate your time today. I hope your July 5th is better than your July 4th. How about that? Sound good?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it will be, but thanks for having me on the show, guys.
Yeah, thank you. You have a good one.
Fantastic.
On that note, folks, we still have open lines. Okay, so I want to talk to you guys about your experience. We're on a patriotic run right now. We're talking about patriotism and being an American. I mean, it is July 5th after all, the biggest day of the year in America, July 5th. People always say that. Many people are saying this, in fact. But yes, no, we still have open lines. We want to talk to you. It doesn't have to be about that subject. It can be about one of our myriad of other topics. Jamie, you look like you were about to say something.
Oh no, I was just realizing that tomorrow is 7/6, so you know, but but no, yeah, we can talk about other topics. Yeah, because the last time you and I were on the show together, it was the 7th of June. No, we do have other topics we can talk about, and while I have been thrusting very deeply into religion and
crazy
state religion separation, if you just do want to talk about faith, epistemology, belief, do give us a call. It is something we're interested in.
It is something we're interested in. And another thing that we're interested in is our channel members. Shout outs to our channel members who help support the show. Click the join button below the video if you want to become one. Hey, you get custom chat, emotes, early access to clips and shorts, and you help perpetuate the mission of Talk Heathen in the atheist community of Austin. So come on. Another way to support us is by sending us super chats. Get them in, and we'll read as many as we can. Liking and subscribing on the channel, enabling notifications, commenting, all of that stuff helps. You know, it's very helpful. Last but not least, of course, our merchandise is another thing that helps support the channel. Get your Talk Heathen merch at tiny.cc/merch ACA for your tees, your sweatshirts, your hoodies, your hats, your prints, your mugs, your iPhone cases, if you really want it. So come on down, and we got it for you.
I'm currently pimping some ACA merch, high quality.
Yeah, look at you.
Very nice.
High quality stuff. We got Ben. Shout out to Ben in the back. He's got the merch too. Crew, can we get that one up on Ben real quick? He's rocking probably one of my favorite ACA shirts. There it is. Yep. That's a good one. Thank you, Ben. Your beard's kind of in the way, but yeah. He's got the hat as well. That's great.
And actually, mine is the Woke AF shirt on the back, which is also cool.
Yeah, the Woke AF shirt's awesome.
But here, the thing is that these pieces of merch are indicative of where your donations, if you're part of the Patreon, if you're doing the super chats, where your funding goes. It doesn't just go to making these shows. As much as we love making these shows, it goes to a renewed outreach initiative that we're pushing. We've been doing a lot more in-person stuff. We're doing some great stuff at the library, and we've been doing things like representing at Pride events and representing in local nonprofit events and hosting local nonprofit events, because we want to put the C community in ACA. And even if you're not in Austin, you can be part of this community as well. So we really appreciate everyone who contributes their time, their money, their effort, and their material.
Yeah, for sure. The reason I said is because I found the article I was talking about earlier. This is from The Independent. It says, shocking July 4th poll finds nearly half of Americans don't know what they're celebrating on America's 250th. Let's see if I can find some of the other stats on here. I hate reading news. You know, if you pay for your news, you don't get the same kind of experience. But part of the reason why people don't read news anymore is because if you try to read news and you don't have ad blocker or anything, and I need to install ad block on my ACA browser here, but it's just the worst. It's just ads everywhere. You can't find anything good. It sucks. It sucks, man. I hate
Indeed. And of course, the outrage machine keeps pushing certain news stories to grab your engagement.
Yeah.
And the thing is that we kind of have an equivalent in the UK, a celebration that happens every year. There's an excuse to have a party and blow up a bunch of fireworks that I don't think anyone really knows the meaning of anymore. And that's Guy Fawkes Night. We just call it Bonfire Night now.
Yeah.
But it started as a celebration of the victory of the Protestant state religion over them dang Catholic terrorists that tried to blow up Parliament. And I always think, how many Catholics celebrate fireworks night just because it's fun to shoot off fireworks and get drunk?
You think there must be some Catholics that are like, no, you shouldn't celebrate this, right? Is that a thing? Do people care? I mean, I
don't know. If I had a time machine, I'd go back in time and ask my grandparents, because not only were they Catholic, they were Irish Catholic. So they really didn't like the Church of England or anything it stood for. But
check out this poll results. Okay, so 46% of Americans and 61% of Gen Zers couldn't tell you that July 4th marks the 250th anniversary of the adoption of the Declaration of Independence. This is a poll that was done with the Cato Institute. It was a poll of 2,253 Americans aged 18 and older. Okay, only 61% correctly identified Great Britain as the nation from which the 13 colonies declared independence 250 years ago. Now, I would love to know what the question, was the question, who did we get independence from? And 61% of people couldn't do it? Because there's no way, right? There's no way. And
would they have disqualified you if you'd have said England?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Was there something that I don't know. It's like Cato Institute. I imagine it's done pretty well, but I haven't looked into that, right?
Methodology.
Overall, 40% answered incorrectly, with 25% admitting they were not sure, and others guessing Europe, 4%, Canada, 3%, France, 4%.
That one's a fucking
Spain, 2%, and Germany, another 2%. Spain, really?
The France one is the one that cooks my noodle, because
the France one is crazy.
Because if you don't know why I'm baffled by it, just ask yourself, why are so many places in the US called Lafayette?
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously, like France is number one American supporter. They don't like to admit it, but historically they love us. Spain, though, that's crazy. We think we independence from Spain, dog. I don't know. That's
you know what those four guys were. They were all Texan. They're like, yeah, we kicked them out.
I guess
them out of the Texas, and we got ourselves to the Rio Grande.
I mean, that's how like Mexico works. So maybe they were getting confused there. I don't know. Anyway, there's more from this article. More than half of Americans, 57%. Don't know why the colonies declared independence from Britain in 1776. And only 43% knew it was in protest of high taxes and a lack of representation in government. Come on, man. The fucking, putting tea in the harbor and shit, that's classic. That's classic stuff.
Yep.
How do they not know? I don't understand. It's just sad.
It is. I mean, yeah, but I mean, I'm sure I could. There'd be like, what happened in 1066? I could pose that to 2,000 British people and be like, oh, I don't know, World War II, because.
I mean, I guess, but like Americans are so proud of themselves.
Yeah.
We're constantly patting ourselves on the back about how awesome we are. I mean, not as much in recent years. I'm not going to lie, right? There's probably a decline on that. But historically, okay, like we're up there in terms of pride, okay? And people not being able to tell you why is just, well, should I be surprised? I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be at this point.
I mean, it is an indicator that people just don't pay attention to their civics and their history.
I guess so.
And it would be, I think, the world at large would be a better place if we not only remembered our history but learned the correct lessons from it.
Here's some more from this article. Americans were also polling their beliefs about the country moving away from the founding principles, with the majority, 56%, worried about the notion that the U.S. may stop being a free country. The greatest threats to America remaining a free republic were corruption, 30%, too much power in the presidency, 21%, politicians ignoring the Constitution, 26%, and the rich having too much power, 24%. Republicans and Democrats alike rank corruption as the greatest threat to freedom. And they also said, but 4 in 10 Americans, 38%, think it's acceptable if a president they support stretched the Constitution to get what they want. 38% of Americans are like, yeah, we should, whatever. On that Constitution thing.
It's
wow.
I mean, again, sample size, blah, 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 methodology, blah, blah, blah. But if it's even close to accurate, it's like, look to your left, look to your right. One of these people would have done the flipping, was it Benedict Arnold, the traitor?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah.
Yep. The report concluded that while a majority are proud to be American and remain attached to the country, it is paired with, quote, striking uncertainty and concern. Further, quote, many lack basic knowledge about the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution's purpose, and the structure of constitutional government, the report said, noting that the gap was wider among younger Americans, quote, who are less likely to feel connected to the founding and more likely to be uncertain or skeptical, unquote, about the future. That makes sense. That checks out.
I'd put that down to a combination of problems with education that we've got that have been getting bad, and also the fact that we are more connected. As much as people, certain people in the US are very anti-globalist, we live in a connected world, man. Like these kids don't know about the founding fathers, but they do know about K-pop. TikTok.
Yeah, I don't really care about that stuff. It's just like people are just mad and they don't know why. That's the problem. Like despite living in one of the greatest accessibility to information that Americans have ever had, period, people still broadly just believe what their parents believe, right?
Yeah.
or what the people around them believe. And I guess that's just, I don't know what that says about human psychology.
Yeah, and it's access to information, but how much of it's true, and there is so much of it to sift through. I could actually go into a really nerdy rant about how prescient the author video game maker Hideo Kojima was in his seminal work, Metal Gear Solid 2, where there's a whole big thing about...
I could talk to you about the seminal works of Hideo Kojima for another podcast.
Yeah, we could do that.
That's not... I don't know if the denizens of Talk Heathen are Metal Gear Solid aficionados like yourself and I, unfortunately. But it is a shame.
But the in a nutshell is that there's just too much information, and those who control the flow and the filter get to dictate the truth, even if the truth isn't really the truth. But those
who control the spice control the future. That's a different franchise. But anyway, folks, we still have open lines. It's me and Jamie Heineman here. You need to get a beret.
Yeah, sans beret.
That'd be awesome.
I've got the sunglasses.
Do you have a beret?
No, I really should buy one.
You can't get a beret, dog.
I've got the mountaineering sunglasses he was famous for.
Yeah.
And
get a little beret and give me your best American accent, and good.
I can't really do a very good, having lived here for so long, I can't do a very good American accent. And
really? You can't do one? Because you've been here for a while.
Yeah, I mean, my best American accent is also just a stereotypical impression of an old man being angry. You dang whippersnappers and your TikToks and your Facebooks, get off my lawn.
That's closer to Grandpa Simpson, I think. But he is an American character, I guess. So that's something.
But no, I can't do a Jamie Hyneman impression to save my life because he's got a very specific Hoosier accent.
I don't know. I don't know if I could do a Jamie Hyneman impression either. I think first of all, it's been too long. But second of all, he has a very particular way of speaking. Boy, there's a show I wish would come back, Mythbusters, huh?
Yeah.
I guess they've tried to do that.
Well, we are the modern day Mythbusters, because if you have myths you believe in, we try and bust them if you like.
Damn, what a great segue. Jamie, good job on that one. Holy shit. Way to keep us on topic here. But no, we're not as good as Mythbusters. I will say that we don't do. I mean, we talk to people on the internet. They were like blowing cars up and like jumping out of planes.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if the ACA is going to pay for me to jump out of a plane, I'll do that.
I mean, there was that one time that Forrest Valkai came over with a fucking tub of liquid nitrogen and froze donuts in the parking lot for us to smash. That was fun.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, I don't know.
Good times.
I don't know. Yeah, good stuff. Oh, what's that? Oh, did you drop something there, bud?
Oh, challenge accept. No, because I have to lean into the screen to read the message.
He's got to lean. He's locked in, folks. He's leaning in. He's ready to get to know. I want to talk to Ben. Can we get Ben up here real quick? Because, again, we have open lines, and as long as we're chatting, I want Ben in on this conversation. What's going on, Ben? Of course, you're muted as well, which is just how things have been going today.
Perfect. Thank you for catching me on that immediately.
Yep.
But no, things are good. I'm enjoying the conversation and banter. I really like that call with Ann. Especially like this weekend as a veteran, this weekend always has a lot of mixed feelings of, showered in patriotism for so long. And then
I was wondering as we were having that conversation what your take was. In fact, I probably should have brought you in on that because obviously you are a veteran, and probably have some feels about the times.
Yeah, it's a mixed feelings. And like, even I was an atheist when I was in, at least for like 2/3 of my time in. And so even then you have so many of like the house decorations of the soldier kneeling in front of the cross that's draped in the flag. And that always felt really bitter to swallow and see in like every military town that I was ever a part of. But now even more so, like I'm still proud of my service. But also, I've learned so much more and become so much more aware of kind of the history of our country and the oppression of people. And like, I've had people ask me, someone in the comments was talking about the famous speech, what to the slave does July 4th mean? And like, I was in the military when there was the whole kerfuffle about soldiers flying the Confederate flags on post. And I remember that being kind of a wake up moment for me of like my perception and experience growing up in this country was radically different. Because I remember most of my family was from the South. And at one point I went to like the anniversary reenactment of Gettysburg. And so it had a big Confederate flag on it. And I wore that to school. And so like these different moments of like the juxtaposition of our history and how history is, it's not a linear thing. It doesn't have just one experience that's universal. It has a plethora, and an intersectional view of it really changes your perspective on how does all of this history work and how does it influence people across generations and across cultural and personal experiences. And it's really hard to just be blindly patriotic now.
Wow.
And that cut against, I'm still proud of having been a soldier. I'm proud of the work that I did.
Ben, it sounds like you're a victim of the woke military. I think
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's another thing, like, especially on days like yesterday, there's a lot more leftist and left-leaning service members than people are aware of. We would find little ways to just like, when Fox News would be on the TV, you look around the room to see who else has a look of disgust on their face. And then you afterwards go up and be like, oh, hey, you too? But I really worry for those folks that are in uniform right now that had a similar political ideology that I did. Like, I know I faced problems and had to shut up a lot. When I was in, I can only imagine what they're going through now. And so that weighs on me. It makes it really hard to like, I don't think I've been to like a fireworks celebration probably in the last 6 or 7 years, just because it always just feels kind of corrupted. It always feels a little bit broken to me.
Wow.
So that's
and under the current climate, it's not just political leanings. It is like alternate faiths. I mean, who'd be a Muslim in the military right now? You're like, I want to serve my country, but boy, oh boy, they don't like me much. Or if you're a LGBTQIA, I mean, I'm pretty certain that half the engineering corps are furries. So, it's
definitely most of the computer programmers. Okay. I have it on good authority from my roommate, who is a former.
I want to make it known that Jamie the Blind Limey is saying our American military is full of furries, and It says half of at least one branch of the government. Okay.
Oh no, you want
on the
them.
record.
You know what? Because
Oh.
because furries get dressed in 50 to 60 pounds of insulated clothing and go out in 110 degree
I
weather
see. I
for
see.
fun.
You're
So
saying being a furry is kind of like Navy SEAL
Yeah,
Team 6 training.
Oh, it's a whole. Those guys, we had to do
okay.
when we would do like chemical, biological, radiological training. You'd put on mop gear, and it was head to toe. If you've seen some of the like old Jarhead movies and stuff, you'd have to have all of that on. And I spent a lot of the last 6 or 7 years involved in protest, and I'd see furries show up in the 100-degree Texas heat.
Wow.
And all I could think about was mop gear, and I was like, they'd be good in the military.
Yeah,
Now I'm just
Apparently,
imagining
they were there the whole time.
yeah, they're always there.
I'm just imagining a bunch of guys in fursuits like killing Osama bin Laden right now.
I'm here for it. That's the future.
One
That
of
is the
Navy
future
SEALs
the
is
left
dressed as
wants
an
to
actual
create.
SEAL.
That would be pretty sick. That'd be pretty awesome.
Put an eye patch on.
I
Crenshaw would be proud.
Patch. Oh man. Honestly, if I could dress up like Solid Snake, I'd probably be more inclined to join the military if they let me do that.
I mean,
But-
not no, but Hegseth did further constrict the grooming standards in the military, which I'm
Yeah.
sure for especially like wokenists, in like the last year I got in, finally got permission to have facial hair, and now that's been stripped away. I can only imagine.
Well, can we talk
they're
about
upset.
this, Ben? Recently, because I know you can pull out the facts faster than I can on this. And I know
Uh-oh.
we also talked about it. That the military has now changed their regulations on dog tags and like how you can identify your
Yeah.
faith. Tell me more about that, because that's super relevant to what we're talking about on this show.
Yeah, and actually, Fish Stark, the executive director of American Humanists, did a whole post about this. But Hegseth went through and they trimmed the number of official religions in the military from like 200 something down to I forget the exact number, but it's in the tens of religions now.
Yeah.
And for a short period, they didn't include Mormonism as being Christian, which
Right.
went over very poorly.
Yeah.
But atheist is no longer on there. So you can still do no religious preference, but the way that's interpreted in the military, if you have no religious preference, then whatever religion is available. So like if there's a chaplain of any faith, you will essentially be assigned to them, like on your deathbed or what have you, or to read your last rites and what have you. So no religious preference doesn't mean atheist, and that is no longer issued. That is what was on my. You have your official document, your like report card of the military. That's your enlisted record brief. And I was no religious preference. Then I became a humanist around the time I became an atheist, because there was still a lot of discrimination. Especially in the promotion process, you have to go before a board of a bunch of first sergeants, at least in the Army. I know it's different in other branches, but
I just got the number here. It went from over 200 to 31
Yep.
different codes.
Yep.
Which is, and the fact that you can't even call yourself an atheist on there, like, hello, what do you mean?
Yep.
What are you talking
Just erased us. Yeah. And like,
yeah.
there's always a debate in atheist communities to like, are we a religion? And there's the joke like, oh, atheism is religion, like bald is a haircut, which doubly hits me. But given the fact that we give additional rights to religious groups, there are atheists that have that have spent decades fighting to be included in those lists, because otherwise you can be discriminated against. You can have religion imposed upon you. And so that debate is always interesting to me, because it's like, yeah, my intellectual brain says that atheism is not a religion, it's a refutation of the idea. But also there are atheistic religions. So
Right. There is that. And like, I don't know, it's just like, you should be able to call yourself whatever the fuck you want to call yourself. I feel like I get for paperwork reasons why there's why they have a list. Right.
Mhm.
Because like you said, like you're going to get access to different services or different, kinds of things like that. Okay. So maybe you want a list. Okay. And I don't know, like, how much does this actually, out of all the spending in this country that happens and all the things that go on, how much is this actually saving on time and efficiency in like management that, oh, now we have a couple less codes. Because I also wouldn't doubt that most of those codes probably aren't being used most of the time, right? Like some of them maybe are in the thousands, I would imagine.
Oh yeah,
It's a pretty pretty obscure stuff. But like, really, I mean, how much of a big deal is that? I don't know. Doesn't seem like it.
It more goes to like troop readiness and morale. At least that was the way it was kind of expressed to me, that because the ways you can express who you are extremely limited when you're in the military. So what few you have really matter, and they matter a lot more than they would in kind of the rest of our society. Because again, like you don't get to choose what your hair looks like, you don't get to choose makeup, what your clothes are. All of that is very heavily regulated. And so the small ways where you can find this is me and a representation of me is really significant. So by and large, through most of the history of our military, being more expansive and expressive to like include more categories of faith or belief or lack of belief has been really important, because that's it's one of those small things that says this is where my individuality lies. But then now it can also be exploited to create more homogeny and reduce the individuality. If you're going to get special rights or privileges by going to church on Sunday, and that's when you get to meet with your officers and be around them in a separate setting, it's a way that they can impose undue influence and pressure on soldiers to try to get ahead or be successful or be accepted by the people around them. So rather than celebrating people and saying you have to accept these people or you should accept these people despite their differences, now it's we're going to find ways to impose and reduce those differences to force people to conform with everyone else. And something like the military, it's so massive, and small changes in morale influence suicide rates tremendously. You're talking about thousands of people when you look at like 22 service members a day. Service members and veterans commit suicide. That adds up quick.
And the thing is that it's proven that embracing diversity, be it in religion or even in things like sexuality and whatever, is only a strengthening agent. I mean, when it was like, no, I still want to serve in the military, but I am a staunch pacifist because of my religion. But I'll still serve as a corpsman, and I'll still put myself in danger, and I'll still put myself in front of to help my fellow soldiers and make them combat effective. Allowing for that kind of religious dispensation was only a good thing. So it just baffles me. And the joke that just came into my head is this: that they did it just so they can win the whole "there's no atheists in foxholes" debate on a technicality.
Yeah, I imagine there's like some interesting numbers you could track there with that too, with those codes, if you really wanted to. That now we can't get as precise data on. Of course, like I also see that they made more denominations within Christianity, like more broad. Like you can be Methodist or Baptist, but of course, like if you're probably somebody in a specific Hindu denomination, you probably aren't going to get, your the same kind of treatment, which is just, I don't know. Like I'm also seeing that like a lot of pagan subsects were also just completely eliminated, which it just fucking sucks. Like obviously I don't think people should become pagan, but like pagans exist, and that's their identity, and they have a right to do it because, God damn it, this is America. Like you should be able to say what your fucking religion is, and if you're serving the country, you should be recognized for that. So what the fuck, man? I don't know. That's just bullshit. I hate everything about that. So I'm sure most people probably feel the same way. I can't imagine like most people in the military think that's a good thing. Yeah. Right. I mean, I'm speculating. No. I have no idea, but I imagine if you ask the average service person whether they like that or not, they would say no.
Well, like they're members of the chaplain corps. Like the chaplains are the officers, but then there's also a service code or a job in the military that's the chaplain's assistant, and that's a whole
that's a whole other thing.
And there are Wotan members of that. There were when I got out. And so I can only imagine, like, do they have to change their religion to stay in the chaplain corps? I don't know. I imagine that's causing a bit of a fracas. And especially like at a time when we have the director of the FBI saying, "I'll see you in Valhalla, brother," but then the same government turns and removes Wotanism
yeah,
from official religions. I think we were talking with Anne, and I saw some in the chat. This juxtaposition of like how we were raised and the values we were taught of like, even as an atheist, if you have a religion and we are a country that says we have religious liberty, then like I served and I fought to defend people's right to worship how they see fit, and I would like them not to believe in a God, but if these are the values of our country, we should do it. And then that's just getting slapped in the face today.
Right.
It makes this a real bittersweet kind of holiday. I know it's tough for myself. From other veterans I've talked to, a lot of them, at least the leftist ones and the atheist ones, are like, yeah, I don't really do July 4th anymore. It's just too difficult.
Which is crazy. Hearing a veteran not care about July 4th, I don't know. I mean, like, I get why some may not care about that, but like, I don't know. We used to be a real nation, man. We used to care about that shit. Okay. I used to go
real country.
I used to go downtown and see the Veterans Day parade and see all these kinds of stuff, man. I that was part of being here, man. That was a part of it. And now I just don't care. That's another thing with the chaplains. Can we talk about that real quick, Ben? Because I know recently there was another news item that like chaplains can't display their rank anymore.
Oh, I didn't hear that. That's interesting.
Yeah, did you hear about this? Hold on. I Googled it just to make sure. Yeah, Hegseth removes rank insignia from military chaplains. Okay.
That's
so chaplains can't pull rank on people. Tell me about this, Ben, because I've never been in the military. What does a chaplain actually do on a day-to-day? What are they like? I know they can lead services, right? Are they counseling people as well?
Yeah.
Give me the deets on that.
They basically act as the counselor for a unit, starting at the battalion level, at least in the Army, which is about 1,500 to 2,000 service members. And then they have their ranks. So they usually start off as a captain because they have to get a professional degree in theology or go to seminary. And then if you have a degree, you start off as an officer. So they're considered like a professional class. But yeah, most of their week is like prepping for the services. They do a lot of stuff related to morale and well-being. They're available if you request to speak to a chaplain. It's kind of just like a given right that you have as a service member to not meet them immediately, but like you can schedule a time at any point to meet with that chaplain or make that request.
Okay.
There's actually a parallel in the UK school system because we have a state religion and a lot of our public schools are under that state religion. We have what is called the pastoral office, as in a pastor. And it's basically the school counsellor. Like they are the sort of the head of of whatever initiative for the mental health of the students there is, but it is couched in this religious office of the pastoral officer, who's supposed to represent the church in school as the moral, spiritual, and emotional guide for the school. But because we became so secular, it was just, if you're feeling sad or upset or someone's bullying you and you can't talk to your own teachers, you go to the pastoral office. It's also where you usually got like tampons and pads if the nurse's office was closed.
Okay, wait. So in either situation, in yours and in Ben's thing, do you actually have to be? What are the qualifications to become a chaplain? Could I become a chaplain if I was in the military? Just said, yeah, I want to be one.
No.
You have to have it. No. Okay. So there is something you have to have.
And this is one of the reasons there have only been, I think, 2. Someone in chat can probably correct me. But I think there's only been 2 humanist chaplains in the history of the U.S. military.
Wow.
Because the requirements are you have to have some kind of degree.
A degree.
And then
Okay.
Usually in theology or go to seminary or a degree in like religious studies.
Really? Okay.
Yep. And then you have to have, and this is the big hurdle for humanists, is you have to have presided over a church or you have to have been you have to have been a preacher, or you have to have run some kind of church group for, I think it's like 4 years before you can become a chaplain with the U.S. military. So you have to have like had parishioners and presided over a group and managed and run that before they'll let you in.
Okay, so that's actually that's a fairly high bar, because you got to do all that and like go through basic and everything else that are like a regular.
Yeah, they go basic training and then officer candidate school. They learn to shoot, move, communicate like all of us. But then they go to
they show you a VeggieTales VHS tape.
Right.
I don't know what they do. Maybe they probably do more than that, but you know, okay. What in your opinion is the office of a chaplain a good thing to have in the military? Because we were just talking about church and state separation.
Yeah.
And one might make the case that that's kind of not a separation, actually, if you're having a religious office in the military. One might make that case.
I would definitely make that case. I think there's not any of the jobs, unless you consider spiritual fitness, which is something that was talked about a lot when I was in.
Spiritual fitness.
Yes.
What does that mean? You got to do like you got to go through monkey bars over the fire of hell or something? What is that?
It was like, how do you feel about? Do you feel like there's a higher power that you're working on behalf of and is in line with your values?
What? Wait, they asked that in the military?
Oh yeah. It was interesting as an atheist because it was essentially they wouldn't ask it of like, do you believe? They would ask like, do you have any consternation or problem? So like having bad spiritual fitness would be like suffering a moral injury where your religious beliefs don't in line with the actions that the military is ordering you to do. That would be an example of like harm to spiritual fitness, as it's causing you to question your beliefs and what have you. But so long as you assume that that is real, then it does serve a separate purpose, which I think that also has civilian and secular definitions to it. It's just like mental well-being. Like there's nothing that a chaplain does outside of spiritual fitness, quote unquote, that can't be handled by a secular person.
First of all, sorry, Jamie. This has now become the Dan and Ben show. So I'm kind of leaving you out of the entire conversation.
It's fascinating. I did want to just quickly add, I quickly looked it up, in that pastoral teaching in the UK, while you don't have to have like led a congregation, it is an accreditation. You have to be trained for it. So you can't just I just want to be a pastoral teacher. It's like, no, you need to go to professional training for that.
I'm glad at least there's something you got to be for that. But I'm like concerned. So they do a spiritual fitness evaluation on you, okay? And what if I said, no, I don't believe in God, fuck off? Do I get a bet? Is that reflected on my record somewhere? Could they make decisions based? Okay, so that's just a conversation you have with your chaplain. It doesn't go anywhere?
And actually, when I was in, and it's always kind of changing and evolving, that part was part of military readiness training, or MRT. And it had a number of facets like emotional well-being, like I think family connections and family and friends, like how are you in that way? So it was more of a like, how likely are you to commit suicide or suffer like really bad mental health and then have an event where you like punch a soldier or you drive off a bridge, whatever. So MRT was designed, it was resiliency training. And one pillar of that was spiritual fitness. There was family, there was how satisfied are you with your job? Are you really struggling or suffering? So it was more of an assessment. It wasn't a part of your like official military record or anything like that. That's where the religious affiliation, no religious preference, atheist, humanist, those kind of things, they were separate. Now, if they wanted to have your MRT scores on your ERB, it wouldn't surprise me. I would think that's draconian, but I think a lot of what's happening right now is pretty draconian.
Yeah, because I imagine if you figure out like, oh, hey, I'm actually not great, they send you somewhere or they recommend you for something, right? If you're like, hey, I'm not like fit for this mentally right now.
Yeah,
right?
Especially when the 22 a day campaign started, the military started taking that stuff really seriously, and you ended up getting the question, have you had any thoughts of harming yourself or others, was asked everywhere. If you went to the dentist, they would ask you if you had any thoughts of harming yourself or others. If you went to the chaplain, if you went to the doctor, all the time it was asked of you. And if you ever said yes, you were immediately pulled out and like, well, you're going to go talk to a therapist person, or at least going to talk to a chaplain. And like,
okay, but they don't like kick you out. It's just like, hey, you need to talk to somebody.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Because one might suggest your job may require that you do have to harm someone, right? So I guess like the act of actually harming someone maybe isn't always the problem. It's just who you're gonna harm maybe is more what they're interested in. Yep. Okay.
By and large, yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. I see. All right. Well, this has been the military hour with Dan and Dan.
I was just about to jackknife in just to say, hey, before we run too long, we do have still a wonderful group of people to thank for their contribution to our mission, and that would be our patrons.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about the patrons? Because we do have our top 5 patrons, as we do.
Yes. Give us those patrons, Shane.
Most weeks. And I'm going to read them out because I love reading out these names because they're always really funny. So our top 5 patrons are at number 1, Oops, All Singularity. Number 2, the ever wonderful Dingleberry Jackson. Number 3, Kalevi Helvetti. Number 4, Period, just the character. I get that reference. I know what that meme is. Number 5 is Casey Kickendall. And our honorable mention is David Cross. So if you would like to join this pantheon of wonderful people and keep this whole atheism train chugging along, you can do so at aca.show/Patreon-TH. That's aca.show/Patreon-TH. And if you give enough, you can be on that list.
I know it's not the David Cross, actor and comedian David Cross that donates on the Patreon. Shout outs to the David Cross that does donate, but it would be extremely awesome and very funny if David Cross, the comedian, was a patron.
I mean, that would be one of those like, David, this whole time I would love to have you on the show, please.
No, he's doing like a double thing where it's like, no, it is actually him, and he's putting his real name on there because it's like, of course you don't think it's that one.
right Elvis signing up for the hotel room as Elvis just because they'd be like, someone's just saying Elvis.
Yeah, exactly.
And I never think it's really Elvis.
That would be awesome. That'd be sick. I wonder if David Cross would like our show now.
If I was famous, I'd use a pseudonym, but it'd be a really lame one. So, like, if I was like Keanu Reeves, I'd sign in as Rianu Keeves.
Rianu Keeves is pretty awesome. That's pretty dang. Folks, we got about 15 minutes left of a show. I would love it if somebody would call in and come talk to us because this is ostensibly a call-in show, and I want to honor the origins and general function of what the show requires, that being us talking to callers. However, we cannot fulfill that divine mandate because we currently do not have callers to talk to. So you can help us out with that. Or if you're on TikTok, you can come click that join button. Fuck it, Ben. I'll talk to you about anything, right? Tell Ben that he shouldn't have been in the military or something. I don't know. Okay, Ben will fight you on that, right, Ben?
I would, yeah. I've had that conversation plenty of times.
Have that conversation because that's something that probably comes up more than what you're comfortable with.
It is an unfortunate amount.
Yeah.
Well, my biggest thing with with trying to encourage people to talk to us is that these shows have historically been quite confrontational. It's always just been trying to smack people down and talk them out of their faith or question epistemology and that kind of thing. But I think what I really want to do these days is I want people of faith or people with belief to call in, to talk to us and explain their position. And I'm going to approach that conversation in a kind of like, I want to understand where you're coming from first before I try anything to refute it. I want to spend the time to actually understand why you believe what you believe, to, one, make you feel heard, because people want to feel heard and acknowledged, and two, I would like to therefore start on a strong standpoint of I could argue your points for you, and therefore I'm able to refute them more appropriately in a conversational style rather than a confrontational style. Like we have other shows for that knife fight in the phone box. Stick around for AXP later. Yeah. But I've had some wonderful good faith conversations with people who are in good faith. You know, they are people of faith, but they are not trying to ram it down people's throats. I have had some more fraught conversations, but I always try and start it from the standpoint of, help me understand you, man. I want to know where you're coming from. I want to know where you are.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's like I want to be able. If I don't understand your position, I can't argue against it. Right? I feel like people make that mistake. I hate it when hosts sometimes, and that's everyone has done this at some point. But when we make an assumption about somebody else's point of view, and then go into a whole tangent about how it's wrong, and then the caller's like, "Oh, actually, I don't think that thing at all," and it's like, well. Look who looks stupid. It's not the caller, it's us. So, we don't want to make that mistake when talking to people about that. But, at the same time, I'm doing double duty today, guys. I'm doing this show and Truth Wanted right afterwards. So I don't mind if we want to cut things a little early, because I might need to get a little breaky break in between. Talking for an hour and a half and then for another hour and a half can do a lot to a man's throat. Okay. So just saying. You can give me some respite.
But Dan, you're the ACA's throat goat.
I swear to God, Jamie, I am going to send you back where you came from and make sure that
this is how I get promoted to co-host.
Yeah, that's why Ben had to be here before Jamie and I get into a fight today. Okay, no, that is a very funny joke.
Dan literally knows where I live.
So. Thank you for calling me the throat goat. If I'm going to be the goat, the throat goat's not the worst thing to be, right? It could be worse. Okay, all right. We need to find a direction. We need to move in a positive way, I think.
Well, I was going to say, while celebrating stuff, we can talk about the ACA, the Atheist Community of Austin has membership too.
Yes.
It's a way to get involved and support. Like for all of you out in the audience, if you like what you're seeing, not just this channel, but as an organization, as we're building community, we have religious studies nights, we have philosophy nights. We have later this year, we're going to have our Bat Cruise coming up. So stay tuned for announcements on that. It won't be this weekend, but next week. But if you like that and you want to support us consistently, our membership is our newest program that we have running. So check that out. And we're slowly growing our membership, slowly growing the community that we have here. And it's been really cool to be a part of.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. I want to give a big thank you to, of course, Jamie for co-hosting with me today. And also shout outs to Ben for doing a lot for backup hosts today. Thanks for doing that. Really
appreciate that. Thanks for having me up. It was good talk.
Yeah, letting us play 20 questions for here, asking about religious chaplains and whatnot.
I'll start calling into the shows and be like, let's talk about the military more.
Ben, give me a detailed breakdown on your training regimen.
No.
Just
what is the religious significance of the M240 Bravo?
Yeah.
I mean, there is the Church of the Gun that exists in the United States now. So not zero. There's no connection there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Just the most American religion of possible.
How very Warhammer of them.
Very, very. They're working on it. A priesthood of riflemen.
Yeah, the irony is on purpose, I think, which is unfortunate. But hey, yes, Ben, thank you so much for being on the show. I, of course, want to, again, thank the awesome crew that helped make the show happen. Listening to us, crew is amazing for doing their thing. And you know what? Let's go ahead and just give some love rings out. Boo, boo. Oh, they're coming right out of Ben's mouth. If you open your mouth, there you go. Oh, perfect. See,
Who's
and
the
they
throat
said,
goat now,
they said I
please?
was the throat goat. Yeah, I mean, hey, look at this. I can't do that. That's crazy. Folks, we are going to wrap things up today. So if you don't believe, this is your community and we appreciate you being here. But if you do believe, we don't hate you.
We're just not convinced.
Folks, thanks for watching Talk Heathen today. It was great talking to you. Have a great rest of your July 5th. See ya.
We want the truth! So watch Truth Wanted Live, Fridays at 7 p.m. Central. Visit tiny.cc/YTTW and call into the show at 512-991-9242 or connect online at tiny.cc/call-TW.